Imagine overcoming life's biggest challenges with a spirit that won't give up, a character that is so strong that every failure is an opportunity for a comeback, and an attitude that is so calm that even chaos seems to submit to it. What does it mean to have a nature that can't be stopped? Is it a never-ending desire to reach our goals, the quiet strength to stay strong in the face of adversity, or maybe a mindset developed through hard work at self-mastery? The definition of an unwavering spirit has been debated by philosophers throughout history. They left us a foundation that goes beyond time and culture, a plan for how to build a strong character that can handle life's ups and downs. Today, we're going to take a deeper look at the logical roots of this old statement of wisdom. Character itself has been the subject of a lot of discussion and thought. The ancients thought that virtue and good behavior could lead to character, which was a type of greatness. Aristotle was the first to talk about virtues as a way to reach eudaimonia, which is the best possible state of being for a human being. Philosophers like Nietzsche pushed us to find our own way in the face of life's inherent meaninglessness, while Stoics like Epictetus and Seneca taught us about the power of inner freedom and resilience. We often think of being invincible as a sign of success or power these days. There are many stories in philosophy, literature, and history that show that being unbeatable isn't about what you achieve, but how you keep going. It's about sticking to virtue no matter what problems come up in life. Through all the chaos of life, it's about staying true to your own principles. It's about standing firm in the face of life's challenges without raising a voice. But why should we care about these old voices? Because the challenges Socrates faced, Marcus Aurelius' questions, and Emerson's support for individualism are not all that dissimilar from our own. What they went through and what they accomplished can teach us about having a strong character. Understanding the principles that the greatest minds in history lived by and learning from them in philosophy and literature is more than just an academic exercise. It's a way to connect with them and build an inner strength that isn't affected by the ups and downs of luck. We are given a perspective on our own lives by standing on the shoulders of these intellectual giants. We learn the value of self-reliance from Emerson, the importance of embracing life's challenges with energy from nature, and the wisdom of discipline and the ability to tell what is in our control from what is not from the Stoics. Let's not just look for motivation as we start this journey to become invincible. Let's look for change as well. Let's not only look for answers, but also the right ones. Not only should we accept philosophies, but we should also make them a part of our everyday lives. With every philosopher's idea, we get a new perspective, a tool, or a weapon that helps us find our way through life's thick forest. Begin this journey with me today. Let's not only learn what it means to be invincible, but also take the first steps toward becoming it. Friedrich Nietzsche is a huge figure in the history of philosophical thought. He casts long shadows over ideas of power, battle, and the will that can't be broken. Nietzsche's study of the human situation was not a quiet meditation. Instead, it was a strong attack on the very ideas that morality was based on. You can't tame the human spirit, he thought. Instead, you had to harness its wild and strong power. The idea of the will to power is very important to Nietzsche. There is more to it than just wanting to be in charge or be in charge of other people. At its heart, it is a desire to reach one's best potential. He thought that all living things show this will, which is not just the desire to stay alive, but also to grow, make things, and become more. So, struggle is not something that gets in the way of this will. It's how it comes true and is expressed. To embrace the fight, in Nietzsche's opinion, is to affirm life itself, with all of its pain, suffering, and doubt. It means saying yes to life and taking on the job of making your own way through the desert of life. Nietzsche gives us the idea of amor fati, which means love of one's fate, to help us do this. This love is an active embrace of everything life throws at us, the good, the bad, and the inevitably complicated. You can think of life's experiences as the artist's clay, or the raw materials from which you shape your personality. A radical re-evaluation of our challenges is required when applying this idea to modern life. The stress of a hard job, the pain of a loss, and the anger of plans that don't work out aren't just tests to be passed. They're also chances to show our strong will, renew our dedication to personal growth, and tap into our resilience. This means that amor fati changes how we live our daily lives. We don't have to avoid or complain about the problems that will come our way. Instead, we can face them head-on with creativity and energy. When bad things happen in our personal and work lives, they don't make us sad, they make us see what could be. We don't have to give up when a project at work fails. Instead, we can look for lessons and rebuild our method based on those lessons. When we go through hard times in our lives, we can look inside for power we didn't know we had and come out stronger. In addition, this philosophy has huge effects on our lives as a whole. It offers a different perspective, a society that sees struggle not as a source of separation, but as a shared experience that can bring us together to work toward bigger goals, in a world where conflict and competition are common. It implores us to see the challenges of our time as opportunities for new ideas, teamwork, and progress, rather than as unsolvable hurdles. If you live with amor fati, you have a certain kind of optimism. This kind of optimism isn't based on the assumption that life is easy. It's based on the strong belief that we have the power to use our problems to make our lives more important and different. In times of trouble, we are given the chance to show how strong we are, to make our hearts better, and to grow into people who can't be stopped and are always changing. By applying Nietzsche's ideas to our daily lives, we embrace a very strong way of empowering ourselves. We make art out of our lives, write our own stories, and build a character that can stand strong through the storms of chance and change. This is the highest form of exercising the will to power, not just winning for the sake of conquering, but becoming who we are meant to be. Let us carry this Nietzschean thought with us as we continue our study of character philosophy, that every thread of struggle in our lives is woven with the chance to grow, that every moment of hardship holds the seed of a new strength, and that, at the heart of every challenge, lies the potential for an unstoppable character. By the end, Nietzsche challenges us not only to deal with life's problems, but also to accept them, to meet them with a strong smile and an open heart, and to dance with them in a celebration of life's unimaginable depth and richness. This is the way to become unstoppable, not by avoiding things but by embracing them, and not by being weak but by being deeply strong and strong all the time. People all over the world still think about Ralph Waldo Emerson's article, Self-Reliance. Emerson wrote it with the idea of individualism in mind, and it still talks about how important it is to be honest with yourself and trust yourself. The article Self-Reliance by Emerson is more than just writing. It is a call to break free from social norms and live a life that is true to yourself. Emerson challenges us to look within ourselves for direction and to put our own feelings ahead of what other people say. A heavenly spark, or inner voice, he says, lives inside each of us and moves us toward our true purpose. We need to count on this voice, this deep sense of who we are, to get through the hard parts of life. For Emerson, a person is not just a part of society. They are a unique being who can have amazing ideas and be creative in endless ways. Having moral character is at the heart of Emerson's philosophy. This honesty is not a strict commitment to moral theory, but rather a live principle that changes as we learn and gain experiences. It's about being true to who you are, even if that goes against what most people think is right. It means that we should value our own points of view, even if they are very different from the majority of people's views. Emerson's ideas about self-reliance can help us get to a place where we can't be stopped. It means that if you want to have an unbreakable character, you have to have complete faith in yourself. This trust doesn't come from being cocky. It comes from being very aware of yourself. It calls for a constant challenge to conventional wisdom, the guts to forge one's own path, and the fortitude to stand alone when necessary. To get to this level of self-reliance, you must first know yourself. Self-knowledge building activities like writing, meditating, or just thinking about yourself are very important. When we are alone and think, we can hear Emerson's native self speaking to us with wisdom. The challenges we face can also help us try and grow our faith in our own abilities. We become more self-reliant every time we use our inner powers to get through a tough situation. Emerson also tells us to embrace our quirks, oddities, and identity. If you want to become invincible, you can't fit into a mold. You have to break it. It's about realizing that what we have to offer is unique and can't be copied because it comes from our own experiences, insights, and creative sparks. The modern world often puts a lot of value on fitting in and being afraid of sticking out. Emerson's words are a powerful reminder of how powerful each person is. Self-reliance also means being able to count on our own resources, such as our thoughts, feelings, and things. Emerson's philosophy tells us to become independent in a world where relying on systems, organizations, and outside approval is normal. This could mean learning new skills that allow you to be self-sufficient, making choices based on your own values instead of social pressures, or finding happiness within yourself instead of looking for it in praise from others. Emerson does not, however, call for a life of solitude. This is what he wants instead: a group of independent people, each with their own skills and ideas to share. Anyone in such a community would be true to themselves and urge others to do the same. This would make the community grow without interruption. We could begin by offering ways to incorporate Emerson's principles into our daily lives by making small but steady strides toward autonomy. Making a choice without waiting for other people to agree with you could be a small thing, or it could be something very important, like standing up for a belief that many people don't share. It could mean picking a road that not many people take, but is more in line with one's strongest beliefs. If you want to become invincible like Emerson did, you need to trust yourself, be honest, and always be yourself. It is a way that seeks internal strength rather than approval from others. This trip is not for people who are easily scared, but for people who are brave. And on this road, we not only build a character of resilience, but also a life with deep meaning and uniqueness that is unmatched anywhere else. Let's remember Emerson's lesson as we continue to read the many people's thoughts on what makes a character invincible. Let's understand that the path to becoming unstoppable is really a path to becoming more like ourselves. The flowers of our deepest accomplishments and strongest traits bloom in the garden of self-reliance. If you look at Marcus Aurelius, the last of the 5 good rulers, you can see how well he lived by the philosophy of Stoicism. His timeless work, Meditations, is one of the best examples of his philosophy, which is based on virtue, reason, and self-control. It is made up of a collection of personal writings and reflections, and it has deep lessons about the discipline of action and thought that are just as useful today as they were in the 2nd century. Aurelius's lessons are based on the idea that we have control over our minds and cannot be affected by outside events as long as we think clearly. Aurelius sees discipline not just as a virtue in a general sense, but as a way of life that guides both thought and behavior. He teaches us that an invincible person isn't one who never has problems, but one who stays calm and focused even when they do. Aurelius said that a focused mind knows that thoughts create reality and that mastering oneself is the most powerful thing a person can do. He says that we should be very careful with our thoughts because they can either make us slaves or set us free. By being disciplined in how we think, we can stay calm when life goes wrong. Aurelius says that in order to develop this kind of discipline, we should begin each day by getting ready for the challenges that lie ahead, thinking about the problems we might face, and making a commitment to keep our cool and virtue no matter what. In order to learn from our mistakes and strengthen our commitment to our principles, he advises developing a daily habit of self-reflection in which we examine our actions and intentions. For Aurelius, it is just as important to be disciplined in real life. He says that our actions should have a reason and be in line with our ideals. The practice of action means always doing the right thing, even when it's hard, staying honest, and doing our jobs carefully and thoroughly. For this type of discipline to work, we have to be fully focused on our jobs and not let small things get in the way. Aurelius says that to build habits that make us unbeatable, we should be clear about what we want to achieve and make sure that our actions are in line with that purpose. To do this, we must be careful in the decisions we make and not let chance or whim guide our actions. Additionally, it means staying committed to our goals and not giving in to short-term wants or instant satisfaction. Mental exercises like meditation and visualizing can also help you become more disciplined in the way you think. It's possible to strengthen the mental paths that lead to focused action by picturing ourselves acting with calm and purpose on a regular basis. Meditation can also help us stay calm and focused even when bad things happen around us. Aurelius's idea of unity between thought and action is another important part of making a character that can't be stopped. He makes it clear that behavior and thought are not separate, they affect each other. Controlled behavior strengthens controlled thinking, and it works the other way too. Every good thing you do and every good thought you have reverberates in your mind, building a character that can stand up to the challenges of life. In addition, Aurelius shows us that outside situations change all the time. We can keep perspective on our challenges and avoid becoming overcome by them by telling ourselves that everything is transient. A mental toughness that is unaffected by the possibility of failure or the draw of success is ingrained in us by this perspective. We can't be stopped, not because we don't face opposition, but because we stay committed to our goal no matter what. Marcus Aurelius taught that discipline is like an inner fortress. It is a fortress where the character lives that can't be attacked by the chaos outside. It is the force that keeps us going through the storm without getting lost, the inner beacon that always points to our true north. Finding the values that are most important to us and pledging to live by them are the first steps in implementing these Stoic principles in our daily lives. Our physical, mental, and social health can be improved by making habits that give us a stable base for focused thinking and action. We can also look for groups and places that support our practice, putting things around us that remind us of the way we have chosen. Let us think about Marcus Aurelius's wisdom as we continue to look at the philosophies that make a person invincible. We should use his meditations as a guide for our own, and we should build our strong selves on the discipline he preached. Our journey doesn't end here, because each philosopher's view adds something different to the person we're trying to become. We are getting closer to having the unstoppable spirit they fought for as we use their ideas to shape our own lives. This is a lasting testament to the power of the human will when led by wisdom, discipline, and the courage to look within. The Stoic philosopher, politician, and writer Lucius Seneca had a particularly clear view of challenges that can significantly change how we face life's natural challenges. The way we think about and deal with problems can be changed by reading his works to become a powerful person. Seneca's perspective on adversity is very different from what most people think. He says we should treat challenges like friends because they bring gifts like the chance to grow, get stronger, and learn more about ourselves. The heat of adversity is when our character is put to the test and our resilience is built. As the saying goes, fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. Stoic philosophy is firmly based in the idea that challenges can be used to develop better character. Seneca thought that the hard things in life should not just be tolerated, but should be used to build one's inner strength. We acquire the virtues of courage, patience, and resilience by meeting and getting past problems. Seneca says that we should change how we deal with adversity in order to develop this mindset. We don't have to see obstacles as impossible limits. Instead, we can see them as hurdles that can be jumped and are even necessary for growth. The goal is to change our perspective so that we see adversity as a necessary part of the journey rather than as a side trip. The practice of choosing pain is a good way to change the way you think about problems. We inoculate ourselves against the fear of future adversity by purposefully putting ourselves in difficult situations, whether it be through public speaking, physical exercise, or any other activity outside of our comfort zone. These challenges we set for ourselves are like workouts for our spirits. They get us ready for the bigger problems that life will surely throw at us. In the face of adversity, Seneca also promotes thought. When we are going through hard times, we don't have to respond right away with anger or hopelessness. Instead, we can take a moment to think about what is going on. As part of this thought, we might ask what virtues we can practice right now, what lessons we can learn, and how we can act in a way that is in line with our greatest values. Seneca says that another way to deal with problems is to learn from people who have been through similar challenges and come out on top. We can get ideas and advice for our own situations by looking at how they overcame adversity and studying their lives. In addition to being a learning activity, this is a way to draw on the power and wisdom of all human experience. Seneca also says that we should have a deep understanding of how temporary life's problems are. We can learn to be patient and strong by realizing that all trials get easier with time. We can keep our cool and keep our problems in perspective by remembering that adversity is not forever. Seneca also suggests actions that can help build a powerful character in addition to these intellectual ideas. Building a network of helpful relationships, for example, can offer both comfort and guidance when you're having a hard time. A healthy lifestyle that includes regular exercise and a well-balanced diet can also increase our physical resilience, which in turn supports our mental and emotional grit. Finally, Seneca's thoughts on adversity tell us to pay attention to what adversity teaches us about our own strengths and weaknesses. Every problem we solve shows how strong we are and how much we can grow. After each challenge, it's important to take some time to think about what we've learned about our skills and flaws, and the endless ways we can grow as people. Adversity is reframed through Seneca's wisdom as a teacher who challenges us to grow rather than as a foe to be feared. Based on how we react, it is a strong force that can either beat us or help us reach new heights. We develop into people with unbreakable spirits and characters that are truly unbeatable as a result of facing and overcoming adversity. By embracing Seneca's lessons, we can make sure that our life journey isn't marked by the difficulties we face, but rather by the grace and power with which we overcome them. Epictetus was born into slavery and later freed. He is remembered as one of the most useful philosophers of ancient times of history. His lessons serve as a guide to unwavering character strength and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. One of the most important ideas in his philosophy is the dichotomy of control, which tells us what we can and can't control. Epictetus summed up this idea perfectly in his Enchiridion. Some things are in our control and others not. This simple but deep mantra is the foundation of Stoic peace and success. Epictetus said that an invincible character doesn't try to control things that can't be controlled, but instead learns to master their own thoughts, plans, and actions. You can't say enough about how important this philosophy is in modern life. The dichotomy of control acts as a beacon that guides us through the chaos by directing our energy on our own actions, decisions, and attitudes in a world that is full of doubt and things outside of our control. We keep our mental and emotional energy in check and channel it toward positive change. Think about the professional who is dealing with a quick market turn for modern implementation. Their actions are not under their control, but the way the market moves is. They can complain about how unfair things are, or work on changing their plans, picking up new skills, and coming up with creative answers that they can control. Relationships with people are another example. People's actions and feelings are out of our control, but we can choose how we react when there is disagreement or confusion. In order to keep our calm and ethics, Epictetus's lessons would require us to look inward and control our own emotions and actions. Having this mindset can also help you improve yourself. Not being able to change our natural skills is something we can control, but the work we put into improving them is. If a student doesn't understand a subject as fast as their friends, they can choose to study more, get help, or find other ways to learn. The attention stays on the steps that can be taken and are within one's control. But how do we know what we can control and what we can't? Through thought, mindfulness, and practice, one can improve their ability to understand. We can figure out where to put our efforts most effectively by asking ourselves if we can change, influence, or affect how something turns out. Epictetus also tells us that acceptance of what we cannot control is not the same as giving up. It is an active involvement with reality. It means recognizing that some things in life just are the way they are. This acceptance frees us from the stress of trying to change things that can't be changed and points us in the direction of our own power. One could use daily rituals that strengthen this Stoic frame of mind in their drive to become invincible. When one considers the events of the day and determines what was within their control and what was not, journaling can be an effective tool. Mindfulness and meditation can also help calm the mind by making you more aware of the difference between pointless worry about things you can't change and useful action you can take control of. Another Stoic exercise that involves mentally preparing for possible challenges is premeditatio malorum. Visualizing problems can help people learn how to deal with them calmly and focus on what they can control instead of letting unexpected events overwhelm them. It is important to embrace challenges as chances to learn and grow in order to further develop one's character in the Epictetus tradition. So instead of avoiding or whining about tough situations, we can see them as chances to show how much control we have over our actions and choices. The strength of our determination is put to the test in the face of adversity, and our ability to control ourselves grows. The dichotomy of control can also serve as a guide in goal setting and time management in our modern lives. Focusing on our own work and making goals that are attainable helps us feel like we've accomplished something and have a purpose. Managing our time shows what's important to us by putting our most valuable resource, time, to work on things we can control and that are in line with our values and goals. It can be beneficial to incorporate Epictetus's philosophy into our daily lives. It has the power to change how we feel about success and loss, how we think about impact, and even who we are. We become masters of our own fate when we give up the idea of control over the huge machinery of the world and work on being in charge of our own will and actions. We become basically invincible, not by making sure that everything outside of us bends to our will, but by adapting to the way things really are and using our will with precision and wisdom. Although we cannot control the wind, we can change the sails. We are on the way to becoming invincible through this change. Epictetus's ideas seem very easy, but they are actually very deep. Instead of calling us to an easy life, they want us to live a life of worthwhile struggle, one in which our true impact is both known and felt. We carry with us the Stoic wisdom that the most powerful thing is how we react to the world around us, how our hearts beat steadily because they know how strong they are, and how our minds are calm because they don't look at the storm but trust that they can handle it. Because of Epictetus's timeless wisdom, we can focus on our actions, have the strength to let go of things we can't control, and understand that the invincible character is formed through the interaction between acceptance and action. We can all start this trip, which leads to freedom and the power that comes from within. Greek philosopher Socrates used his conversations like a surgeon's blade, cutting through the layers of social rules to get to the heart of what it means to be human. His legacy is the Socratic method, a way of arguing and working together that encourages critical thought and brings out underlying assumptions. This method wasn't just for teaching, it was also a tool for the most in-depth forms of self-exploration and self-knowledge, which Socrates thought were the most important things a human could do with their lives. The saying, "Know thyself," was written on the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. Socrates lived by this saying and pushed it very hard. He thought that knowing yourself was the route to wisdom and the basis of a strong character. According to Socrates, a life that had not been examined was not worth living, because only through examination could one attain the greatest virtue and lead a life of true happiness and satisfaction. For Socrates, self-knowledge meant more than just thinking about yourself. It meant knowing your place in the universe, your strengths, your weaknesses, your wants, and most importantly, what you don't know. When we admit that we don't know something, we open the way to real understanding. Being deeply aware of oneself in this way leads to self-mastery, because one is less affected by outside factors and more led by knowing their own real nature and ideals. Socratic self-examination means asking ourselves about our views and ideals, looking into where they come from, and seeing how well they hold up. To become invincible, you have to be ready to question deeply held views and be humble enough to admit when you're wrong. Being this self-aware helps you build a strong, flexible, and open-to-growth personality. Awareness of oneself is not a goal, but a path that never ends. It is the basis for a life with meaning and purpose. For Socrates, an unexamined life is not worth living, because knowing ourselves is the key to real wisdom and makes us the masters of our own lives. Socrates says it also means fully understanding the power of our own will and choice. Being self-aware helps us see that we are in charge of our own lives and accountable for the choices and actions we make. With this information, we can make sure that our actions are consistent with our principles, which will help us live a true and honest life. In addition, Socrates' quest for self-knowledge was linked to his desire to live a good life. He said that virtue and knowledge are inextricably linked, which means that the more we know about ourselves, the more virtue-filled our lives will be. Then knowing yourself is not only a good thing to do, it's also the right thing to do. How, then, can we use Socratic self-knowledge to make our lives powerful today? The Socratic method itself tells us something. We are pushed to make our thoughts and views clearer when we talk with people who disagree with us. This dialectic process can also be used on an internal level, such as when we write in a journal or meditate and have a conversation with ourselves, asking ourselves questions about their reasons, their goals, and how well their actions match their values. Making choices is another way that Socratic self-knowledge can be used. We can make decisions that are not only successful, but also true to who we are at our core when we have a clear understanding of our ideals and principles. Being able to see how our actions and ideals match up gives us the strength and confidence to handle life's challenges with ease. Today, when non-stop input and outside approval can make it hard to see ourselves clearly, Socrates' focus on knowing oneself is more important than ever. To find the truth of who we are, it tells us to turn inward and away from the noise. Our thoughts, feelings, and wants are like invitations to get to know ourselves better. Finding out more about yourself can also help you find your way when you don't know what to do. Know who you are and what you stand for. That way, you can handle life's challenges with purpose and direction. This internal guide is what makes someone unbeatable, not because they never face challenges, but because they don't change who they are when they do. To put it simply, Socrates said that knowing yourself gives you the power to live a purposeful and honest life. It's realizing that internal wisdom, not outward praise or accomplishments, is where a powerful character comes from. We gain the strength, clarity, and confidence to live life on our own terms here, in the realm of self. This makes us unstoppable on our way to reaching the greatest levels of human potential. The deep understanding that seeking self-knowledge is the most important trip a person can take is what Socrates brought to the idea of an unbreakable character. That path doesn't end with reflection. It goes on into every part of life and demands consistency in thought, word, and deed, which is what makes a life well lived and a character that can't be stopped. Developing a character that can't be stopped isn't a race. It's a run with no finish line, a never-ending process of growth, struggle, and reflection. Every philosopher and author we've talked about has something different to give that adds to the patchwork of an unbreakable spirit. Emerson's strong call for independence and Nietzsche's fiery call to embrace life's battles with amor fati are both important parts of character. Nietzsche challenges us to not only accept our fates, but to love them and to see every moment of adversity as a step toward our personal greatness. With the same energy, Emerson fights for individualism and encourages us to be strong by following our inner voice and moral standards. Marcus Aurelius's meditations show us how to be stoic in both our actions and our thoughts. They teach us the peace that comes from being able to control ourselves and living a meaningful life. His intellectual cousin Epictetus gives us the dichotomy of control, instructing us to focus our efforts on things we can change while developing acceptance for things outside of our control. By looking at problems in a new way, Seneca's writings on adversity encourage us to see problems as chances to grow and to understand that real progress often comes in the form of bad luck. Socrates, the model of the philosophy life, urges us to do the difficult but satisfying work of self-examination, which is the foundation of growing as a person and having a good life. Each of these great minds adds to a more complete picture of character development that takes into account the complicated and contradictory nature of being human. They tell us that building a powerful character is an ongoing process that needs patience, determination, and a strong desire to be exposed to all of life's experiences. As we come to the end of this study, let us not see it as a conclusion, but as a call to action. You shouldn't just idly take in the wisdom of these philosophers and authors. You should interact with it. It's a call to make their lessons a part of our everyday lives, to test their principles against our own experiences, and to shape their ideas into tools that work for us. We are urged to embrace philosophy not as a dry academic exercise, but as a living, breathing part of our existence. We are encouraged to question like Socrates, endure like Seneca, Discipline our thoughts and actions like Marcus Aurelius, focus our energies like Epictetus, love our fate like Nietzsche, and trust ourselves like Emerson. In the end, making a character that can't be stopped is an art form. Life is the painting, and our actions are the brushstrokes. It is a deeply personal goal that strikes a chord with everyone, a pledge that is hard to keep but very much worth it. Let us not carry the wisdom of these great thinkers as a burden, but as lanterns in the dark that point us to our own inner light as we go forth. So, I want to ask you, the watcher, to use these lessons as protection and a guide as you go through life. Think about them, question them, and use them. By doing these things, you'll build the strong character that is uniquely yours. Choose to grow, evolve, and reach your full potential. May this lifelong quest give you not only the strength to conquer, but also the joy of the road to becoming truly unstoppable.